let's finish up the northern side of things.
Welcome to the Rines Report with your host, Tristan Blake Rines.
Starting things off in Detroit, will Matt Patricia be able to elevate the Detroit Lions to even a winning season this year? Now, the Detroit Lions have had some trouble these last couple years. Under Matt Patricia, only able to muster 9 total wins. His first season 6, this last season regressed, and both sides of the football have kind of made some mixed moves. Offensively, they got better with the emergence of wide receiver Kenny Golladay, but defensively, going from 16th in the NFL all the way down to 26th this past season. So offensively, not being able to pick up enough of the slack to make up for some poor defensive play. The Detroit Lions also lost a big part of their defense this offseason, trading away a cornerback Darius Slay to the Philadelphia Eagles, and then trying to shore up that loss by picking Jeff Okudah, the cornerback out of Ohio State University, with the number 3 overall pick. Now, the big question, going back to it, can Matt Patricia elevate the Detroit Lions to, an above 500 season, to potential playoff contenders? And there weren't a lot of moves made this offseason by the Detroit Lions in the sense that, hey, they absolutely improved in this part of the field. They absolutely, improved this section of the offense or the defense. There weren't really a whole lot. I mean, they kind of just filled in the gaps where they saw fit, losing Snacks Harrison and then replacing him with Danny Shelton. Again, Darius Slay replacing with Jeff Okudah. And then offensively, just adding running back DeAndre Swift out of Georgia. I think that's going to be a nice commodity backfield there with him and Kerryon Johnson. But when it comes to, making some big significant moves, the Detroit Lions were very much so lacking this season. So it really does come down to Matt Patricia's performance as a head coach to be able to elevate the talent already on the roster, to be able to elevate this team as a whole, and then hopefully, if the team can get over 500 wins, right, can get over 8-8 or even break even, Matt Patricia's hoping that he'll have his position still come next year. Heading things over to Chicago with a question: can Mitch Trubisky prove himself this season? Now, Mitch Trubisky, since entering via the draft, has been largely compared to his draft quarterback commoderates, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Trubisky being taken first by the Chicago Bears puts a ton of pressure on him. And this is the year to prove that he isn't a bust. I mean, he had one really good season where they pushed the Chicago Bears into a solid playoff run, but, weren't able to cap it off on a missed field goal at the end. And since then, Trubisky really hasn't done much. I mean, last season, even losing his job in part to, Chase Daniel, his backup, and this offseason, the Bears not picking up his 5th-year option, trading to get Jaguars quarterback Nick Foles. So there's going to be a quarterback competition, and there's going to be, who knows what's going to happen with Mitch Trubisky. Honestly, it's really his season to prove whether or not he was worth the pick, whether or not he can perform at a high level, and whether or not he, is going to stick around in Chicago at all. Again, not picking up that 5th-year option means he is playing for a contract this season, and he's competing at every stage of this offseason. In the quarterback rooms, whether or not his quarterback coach feels that he's better than Nick Foles at certain aspects of the game. Offensively, in the preseason, going to be competing for that starting quarterback spot, and then just trying to remain on the roster in some parts, trying to remain relevant is going to be his task. If he can win the starting quarterback job, I feel like with the amount of pressure built up on Trubisky, it's going to show a lot of character on whether or not he's going to be able to elevate his play or will he crumble underneath all of it. Heading things over to Minnesota, the question: can the Vikings make a deep playoff push this season in a very contentious NFC North with a lot of really good teams and good teams in certain aspects especially? The Minnesota Vikings have been able to still make the playoffs, have been able to, accumulate a couple of big wins, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're in a very similar position this upcoming season. Trading away Stephon Diggs to the Buffalo Bills, getting a lot of picks back for that, and then getting Justin Jefferson in the first round out of LSU. I feel like he's going to provide a very similar, contribution to the offense that Diggs did, pairing him up with Adam Thielen, and then you have Dalvin Cook and Kyle Rudolph in the mix. Head coach Mike Zimmer has a lot to work with offensively, and then leading the way at quarterback Kirk Cousins. defensively, letting Xavier Rhodes walk after a really, challenging year for him, picking up another cornerback in the first round, Jeff Gladney out of TCU. So trying to maintain a lot of talent on both sides of the football. I think the Vikings have done a really good job of doing that this offseason. Not a ton of huge splash moves coming in to Minnesota outside of the NFL draft, but hey, the Minnesota Vikings have done a lot with what they have at their disposal over these last few years. Again, making a couple playoff runs. I think they are one of the more talented teams in the NFC. In the NFC, there's a lot of talented teams. I say that a lot, but the Minnesota Vikings have good coaching. They have a lot of good talent on both sides of the football, most notably on the defense. You still have Harrison Smith. You still have Danielle Hunter as well. So they've got some good players on both sides of the football. I think they can make another run into the playoffs. It's just a matter of how far can they actually get. Heading things over to Green Bay, how will Aaron Rodgers handle the draft pick of Jordan Love? And this is a big question that's going to circulate this next season or two. Aaron Rodgers still signed on for the next 4 years in Green Bay, and he's in a very similar position to his mentor in Brett Favre, the Hall of Famer, having the next potential franchise quarterback being taken while you're still there for what you feel is, some of the best years of your career in a sense, right? The Green Bay Packers were just in the NFC Championship this past season, even though they got toppled by the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, that doesn't necessarily point to there being a problem at quarterback, but I think the Packers trying to plan ahead for the future, get Jordan Love, who has a lot of talent in my opinion, give him a lot of, preparation, a lot of coaching, a lot of mentorship from Aaron Rodgers, and the questions are really going to circulate on how do the Green Bay Packers handle this? How is Aaron Rodgers handling this? And really, what's going to go on behind the scenes that we're not even hearing about, right? As media, as fans, as anybody, what's going on behind the scenes, we don't really know. How will Aaron Rodgers feel about mentoring Jordan Love? How is the relationship between him and the organization, him and the head coach? There's a lot of questions here, but it all really circulates back around to how is Aaron Rodgers handling this? Again, how is the franchise quarterback, 36 years old, he's still got a few years left on his deal. Is he going to be able to finish that deal in Green Bay? A lot of things remain to be seen, a lot of questions in Green Bay, and I'm really curious to see how things are going to pan out. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer. If he does, his responsibility and he helps mentor Jordan Love, I think the Packers could see a lot more success in the next, 15 years. But thank you so much for watching the video. All my social medias are down in the description below, so feel free to give your boy a follow. Feel free to also stick around and watch some more content. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and get the bell on to know every single time I'm dropping a video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Adios.